Come As You Really Are is an exhibition celebrating hobbies and hobbyists. We filled Wolverhampton Art Gallery to the brim with hundreds of objects made, modified or collected by hobbyists. It's about celebrating the power of self-expression. I guess the vulnerability and expressing themselves. I hope people kind of come and visit and just engulf themselves by the show. And I hope the show kind of gives people joy and permission to do something, to express themselves, to create, and to craft.
I know there's a lot of exciting activity going on in the building, so we're really grateful that you've joined us. My name is Priscilla, and I work for Artangel, which is a commissioning organization. We're based in London, and we have been working with Hetain on this project since 2022, and with a beautiful host of partners, one of them being Wolverhampton Art Gallery. So just a little bit of information why I'm here. But Hetain, his project has opened up this really beautiful question of really thinking about why people make and what they make. And together with Artangel and our partners, we set out in... That's okay. We set out in 2023 to map this, to understand what people make across the country. And so we had hundreds and thousands of people send us their submissions, and we started to put together a picture of what people are making and some of the reflections on why. Hetain's going to go into much more detail about the project, but I'm just going to give you a little bit of the backstory of the structure. And so with our 13 partners, we did an open call together, and we also commissioned this amazing film that Hetain made so that was part of the research that went into the hobbyists that were chosen for the film, with Wolverhampton Art Gallery being one of those partners. We came here on a site visit and met some of the hobbyists, and Mandy's beautiful felt creations, her little animals, were featured in the film. And so in 2024, we had the first presentation in Croydon, which included over 250 hobbyists. And then in 2025, we've had presentations in Wales, in Swansea, at the Glenvivian, at the Northern Gallery for Contemporary Art in Sunderland, at the Grundy in Blackpool, at the Civic Barnsley, which is still open until the 9th of August, and in Blackburn at the Blackburn Museum with Festival of Making. The exhibition is also still on until the 23rd of August. So here in Wolverhampton, this is the 7th presentation of this really exciting model of exhibition making, and all of the different hobbyists that have contributed. And I just want to say a huge thank you to the team here, to Sana, Leonie, Bethany, and Naomi and her team of installers. They all of the care and many emails they've put into this exhibition has been extraordinary. Also wanted to say thanks to the hobbyists that we met when we did our first research trip here, the Ben Talk Bodgers and the Black Country Woodturners, and Chris, who made the animation figurines in the exhibition. And obviously a huge thank you to Hetain for this really generous idea and approach to collaborating and allowing us to learn more about hobbies and ideas around creativity and how we value them. There's a few more upcoming exhibitions just to keep on your radar if you want to follow along with the project. In October, it will be in CCA Dairy, Londonderry. In November at Tate St. Ives, in December in Inverness Museum of Art Gallery, and in 2026 at the Museum of Making in Derby and Factory International in Manchester. So through all of these presentations and Hetain's practice, it's this opportunity to really continue to learn about how we expand and understand creativity within the UK. So thank you so much for coming, and please join me in welcoming Hetain. He's going to speak to you about the project, but there'll also be the opportunity to ask questions if you'd like. There is recording going on, so if you wouldn't mind waiting for the microphone if you do have a question, that would be really appreciated. And if there is an emergency, staff will lead you out the exits. Yeah, thanks for coming, and please welcome Hetain. We have the next.
Positive Marcos. The phone need there. This one is, I think, is this one for the recording? I need to use this? Okay. Thanks, Facilia. Thanks, everyone. Do you mind giving me a little hand if you've got work in the show? Yeah, so a good little scattering here. Brilliant. Thank you. So they basically said, didn't give me a time limit for this talk. So if I start getting boring, just give me that and I'll wrap it up. So yeah, my name's Hetain. I'm an artist, and where this the idea for this show came from. Artangel commission artists often to do the impossible project. What's the project you've always wanted to do but you just never dare touch? And in a way, as you can see from this exhibition, it's just nothing that I would be able to do by myself. And where it kind of came from is the Spider-Man costume in there that I've made took me about 4 months to make. And you can see the video in there of how I made it. I've made 3 of those. And when I was making them, I learned the techniques from these guys on YouTube, showing the technique. And so I learned from there. And through that process, I realized there's loads of people making their own Spider-Man costumes. And then, so when Mariam Zulfikar, the director of Artangel, asked me, what I might want to do, I said, well, I'd love to see just all the world's Spider-Man costumes homemade in one room together, just like here, just so I could see for myself. I thought that was exciting. But then as we started looking around, realized that loads of these are in America. And this project was about the UK. So started thinking, okay, Spider-Man costumes might be specific to what I'm interested in, but what's underneath that? This desire to create something, to make something, to just spend time focused on something that you're interested in, to express yourself, to be creative. And so we started thinking about hobbies just wider. What are the other things that people are doing? Often behind closed doors, often kind of just at their kitchen table or on the sofa while they're watching TV, in the spare time, not necessarily it's part of the job. And so that's where this project grew from. And so what we started doing together with Artangel is sort of starting researching around the country. What are people doing? What are people interested in? So me and some of the team, we started visiting all around the country, craft fairs, maker fairs, car meetups, medieval reenactment days, comic cons, and just visiting and talking to hobbyists and talking to people passionate about what they do, and started learning about what people are doing. And we also put some national call outs on the internet, on the radio, on the telly, to submit, let us know what you're doing. What do you make? What are you passionate about? And we got inundated. And, if I was to ask you to make me a list of all the different hobbies you can think of, I often think it's quite a small list maybe, but there's hundreds. And when you look online or on social media or whatever it is, with the stuff that the algorithm shows you, often you can be tricked into thinking we should only be interested in a few things, or you're only allowed to be. You're only cool if you do this. You're only a proper person if you eat this, look like this, visit this. But in a way, this show and this exhibition and the project is about, no, we don't just do 5 things, we do hundreds of things. And we don't need permission to do it. We're just doing it anyway. Behind closed doors, we're unstoppable. And I love that. And it's kind of like, what are the things that we're doing that we care so much about, that we're either obsessed with, or we're curious about, or it's good for our mental health, or it's good for our creativity, that we just do. Whether it's crochet or drawing or painting or collecting or crafting, whatever it is, singing, And so there's something special about that. I've been an artist for, I guess, professionally for about 22 years. And at the heart of that, what I like to think is the skill of being an artist, in my opinion, is to try to find a way to trust your instincts, to dare to have the vulnerability to express yourself truly and honestly. That's a hard thing to do without faking it, without doing what you think people think you should do. And so that's what I always try and do as an artist. And in my opinion, I think hobbyists have that innately. You know, you can sort of like, in a way, you know, no one's asking you to do it most of the time. It's just because you want to do it. It's because, you know, and often when I speak to hobbies, if I ask, oh, what hobby do you do? People are often quite shy about it. And say, oh, it's just something I do in my spare time or in front of the TV. It's a bit silly. And they sort of downplay it. But that's not the reality of how they feel about it. It's actually something important to people that they care about, that they're passionate about, that says something about you. You know, people sometimes talk about guilty pleasures. You know, you're a bit embarrassed about doing it or listening to it or trying it. And I often, you know, think that artists shouldn't have any guilty pleasures. That's where you should make your art practice from. And I also think that's the same with hobbyists. You know, it's the stuff that matters to you, even if you think it's a bit embarrassing. You just do it. You have to create, you have to make, you have to collect. And it's that energy that I wanted to celebrate in this exhibition. So in this show, you've noticed that's been beautifully installed by the team at the gallery. Just, you know, the care was really important to the hobbyist work. And, you know, it's really important that it needed to be a show where I didn't want you to be able to come in and just find it cute. You know, like, oh, look, it's what some sweet little hobbyists have done. It needed to be so packed, so overwhelming, so beautiful, so big, so that you walk through it and you can't possibly take it all in one viewing, that it sort of takes over you. You know, and that's why we've done it all around the country as well. Taking over galleries, taking over museums. When we started it, taking over a shopping centre. It's about the power of people. You know, it's about this kind of innate desire and quality we have to express ourselves. You don't need to be an artist. You don't need to be a designer or a professionalized creative person. It's a human trait. It's part of our humanity. And so this show is about celebrating that. And so it just grew. And I think the most amazing thing I found about this show is it's a surprise to me as well. You know, when we started asking people, what do you do to submit things and to put things up, I didn't know what was going to come. You know, it was like, and it wasn't a case of, we just knew that if it's possible, we just try and show as much stuff as possible and as much variety as possible in all the different ways that people make. So that was kind of the core element of the show, the objects and things. And then the film, which hopefully you've had it's sort of kind of in the back, you see it later, you may have already seen it, that I made as well, was going around the country and filming different hobbyists. Not always, but sometimes it's ephemeral hobbies. So some of the hobbies that we couldn't have in the exhibition, like wild swimming, like dancing, like planes that fly in the sky, like cars that can't fit into the gallery, that are modified. And so it was, you know, capturing some of this that we knew we couldn't have in the exhibition. And then also wanted to elevate all of the hobbies. So, you know, sometimes people on social media take pictures or take a bit of video of what they're doing just at home, or if you take it to a craft fair, often you just get a trestle table with whatever lighting's in the room. So in the film and in the exhibition, we wanted to have this kind of heightened care, heightened aesthetic, heightened beauty, and not to kind of make it look like something that it's not. It's to give it the power that it already has, or to give it the treatment that it deserves because of how important it is. And so the film purposely gives it kind of a Hollywood treatment in how we film it, with slow motion, with angles, with music. All of the sound and all of the music is made by a hobbyist based in Manchester, and all of the activities that happen in a kind of hobbyist led. And so, yeah, we wanted to kind of have this in the show. So this is a central part of the touring show. the film, and some of my objects kind of follow the show around the country. And then most places, including here, most of the objects are local or regionally sourced. So each show is bespoke. And so as the shows are going on through the country, we're just expanding and expanding the numbers of hobbyists, the number of hobbies that are being displayed around. And it's just joyful. You know, that's what I want this show to be. You know, I sometimes get asked by press and journalists what you want people to take away from the show. And I never like to answer those questions because, in a way, one of the reasons there's no labels around the show is I don't want to tell you what to think. You know, audiences are smart. You know, like I like the idea that you can think what you want to think, that you have the choice of where to go, what to look at. There's no rules. There's no you should look at this first or that first. And that's part of the thing. But if there was something to take away, I think it's something about, I hope people would recognize themselves in the show somewhere. Oh, I used to do that, or oh, I would like to have a go at that, or maybe I could do that, or I recognize that. And just kind of to give ourselves permission to express ourselves in whatever way. You know, like we all have like preferences. I like this, prefer this, not keen on that. But in a way, the show's about putting everything together and just having a range of display things of the ways that we do it. You know, it's, for me, the show's quite freeing. I like the idea that by showing lots of different ways that people are doing things, all the different ways people are thinking, it gives you like different things to relate to. Or I like the idea that some things connect to other things that you would never put next to each other. That's also what the show's about. So yeah, this kind of the way that this show happened was kind of very organic in that sense. And then what I love about it is, you know, because the show is about the power of people, it's the hobbyists, yes, and the work, that's the core to it, but also all of the people involved, all of the staff at the museums, all the people who work at Artangel, all of the people behind the scenes, they put so much work and care into it. It takes a lot of labor, a lot of work, a lot of care. Everyone goes above and beyond, but people have also enjoyed it. You know, like it's kind of makes you smile when you unpack things and see people's work. And I think when things have been made in this hobbyist way, I think it has a particular energy. You know, people's love has gone into it. People's care has gone into it, every single item. And I think when you have a room full of that energy, like, I think that's really powerful. And I guess it's what I'm interested in promoting. And I think it's important that we have it in our cultural spaces. I think it's important that it's in our galleries and in our museums, you know, kind of who gets to be celebrated or what kind of self-expression gets to be celebrated. In a lot of my artwork, it comes from a very hobbyist headspace. A lot of my work involves crafting, taking a lot of labor to make something over a period of months, to you know, do things in quite a DIY way. You know, the Spider-Man suits, the idea is that you could make them to look like $1 million and like movie replicas, but the monetary cost of the materials is probably like £100. It's just, you just have to sit at your kitchen table for 4 months, you know, obsessively doing things. And I know a bunch of you can relate to that in your own way. You know, it's innate to human nature, I think, sometimes. So yeah, that's kind of the thrust of the show. And in and amongst the works, another reason why I didn't want to have labels is I also wanted to put some of my works in the show. And I wanted to reflect on the idea that in my own journey as an artist, you know, it's kind of, sometimes it's a gray area of where it becomes a hobby, where it's somewhere almost becoming a career, and where it becomes an artist's work, and where some of it is still a hobbyist stuff. So in the show of my stuff, you will find a range of things which include my comic book collections from when I was a kid, to my Transformer toys collections from when I was not so a kid, and artworks that were made, like the Spider-Man costume and the film. There's an oil painting in there that I made, which was my A-level art piece. which was a portrait of my brother. When we opened the first show in Croydon, I didn't realize it was a bit of a surprise, but my art teacher from school applied, who taught me how to paint and how to draw, and just like that art could be okay, that self-expression could be okay. One of those early people that really nurtured me as not just as an artist, but as a person. And I hadn't heard from her in 25 years. And I messaged her, and it was her. I was like, I know that name. And I asked her whether she would mind me exhibiting my A-level painting that she taught me on with some of her paintings. And she was up for that. So in Croydon, the first show, she brought a couple of her paintings, and I showed it with mine. And she came to the opening and got to see her after ages. And so there's been lots of these connections that have happened. It's an important part of my work, that my practice ongoing, that to make art accessible, that I want people, art galleries can be scary places or like intimidating places. I never went to an art gallery till I was in my adult years. It was never something my parents would think that is something that we're allowed to go in. And so I want to make work that, yes, can be appreciated by an art audience, but I also want my mum and dad to be able to come in, and my family, and to be able to enjoy it, and to be allowed into it. And so I always try to make my work in a way that can be entertaining as well, that can be kind of inviting, that you can sort of enjoy it and engage with it without needing a PhD in art history. And so this is also an important ethos of the show. Am I missing anything? I've been blabbering from that. That's kind of the story of where this show came from. It's continuing. So it launched last summer, and it's just going, I say, all around the country. It probably is going to carry on we think it's going to carry on till early 2027. So it's just like touring beast till then, which is kind of amazing to know. If you know anything about the kind of how the art world works, even if you have an exhibition which tours around, nowadays in today's models, you might have something that tours to 4 places, and that's quite a heavy thing. So the fact that this is going to 13, 14 places and there's so much interest in it, I think says a lot for the thirst in wanting to understand what people are making, to celebrate the hobby and hobbyists and be interested in people. So I hope that kind of, continues, and I hope that it helps question what we celebrate and what we display in our galleries and our museums. Wonder if you have any questions. You can ask me anything. If it's really private, obviously I'm not going to answer it. But most things of mine are out there on display. Hold on, let me grab you that.
Hi. Okay. Only you might have explained it. I'm not sure I followed. Is this a travelling exhibition, or is it different in every place you go?
Thanks for the question. It was about whether this is a travelling exhibition or whether it's different in every place. We've been kind of trying not to call it a tour, because it's not strictly a travelling exhibition in that, in a traditional sense of take everything and you just move it. The concept and idea is the core. So at every show we'll have the film, and in every show there are some of my items, but and there are some items that you'll see popping up in other shows. Like we've got items from the film that often you'll find in exhibitions, but then the bulk of it are usually bespoke to the area, the region, however the gallery chooses to do that. So the feel of it, the tone, and the essence of it, I feel like is very similar, which is the idea, but the objects themselves, it's different every time.
So how difficult was it from your idea that sprung up What was the timeline? And this is probably a 10-week question you're going to ask. What was the timeline? How long did it take you to get up and running and get permitted to work in the galleries and all of that? And how did you do it?
I think the short answer is with a lot of help. So at the very beginning, it was Artangel, and they kind of nurture and produce the idea, if you like. So what that involves is starting off with having coffees with the director, Mariam, to sort of talk about the idea. And then after about 6 to 12 months of that, on and off, I then meet the team, the wider team at Artangel. And then we did about 8 months, I think, of traveling research, of going to fairs and meeting hobbyists. And then we there was a few months of planning a launch. And then we did a public launch of the national call out in early 2024. And then then the momentum just ramped up 2024, and we launched in July of that year. And that was kind of call out gathering. The team made an online spreadsheet and system for people to submit their works. And Artangel are a very small team, so they really sort of went for it. And then Artangel also kind of responsible for reaching out to national partners who might be interested to put money into the wider budget and co-commission the film, but also want to take the exhibition. And because all the venues have their own scheduling things, it becomes a complex jigsaw that thankfully I'm not involved in doing. And so that's going to marry up with putting things together. So probably from first conversation to the launch in Croydon, I would say probably about 2 to 2.5 years. And then from the launch to the end of the tour is probably another 2 to 3 years. So from beginning to end of the project, really, you're probably talking about 5 years. Yeah. So so it's kind of, these things always take a lot of people, from organizations to funders to obviously all the hobbyists to, they're kind of a beast. Hence kind of a project I could never do on my own. Any other questions?
I know I was late, so I might have missed this at the beginning, but do you lead the curation of it at each gallery, or leave it to the team in the gallery to work out how to display?
So what we did in terms of all of the exhibitions in Croydon, I was very deeply involved in selection and curation and where things should go and how things should be collected and displayed. And so what we did when that exhibition was up, we invited all the partners down and we almost created a handbook of approach. So an ethos to how things should be, with the idea. So to give you an idea, kind of loose rules that, for example, there shouldn't be signage in the show. You should collate things in very visual ways. So inside you will notice that there's a wall that's like portraiture. You just see faces. There's areas where it's just animals, soft animals, animals on the wall, sculpted animals. Some areas that might be collected because it's soft stuff. It's kind of like not being afraid to be obvious and kind of collate things, so you could understand how things are collected just by experiencing it. And then outside of that, we wanted to kind of give each of the partners some freedom with how they might like to show it. So it was a bit of back and forth. And then this Artangel, Basilia from Artangel, is in touch with all of the partners, also kind of being able to answer questions and to help with that curation. And then at each venue, or most venues, both Cecilia and myself, we go down to kind of be part of that curation as well. So I guess the short answer is quite collaborative, but it comes from having created a handbook of sorts of approach to what it should be from the beginning. Yep.
Hi. I just wondered, quite a lot of the exhibits have a nostalgic aspect to them. And I wondered if you'd reflected on the time aspect of it, both in terms of what there is, and there are some modern futuristic ones, but also in some of the hobbies that might not be being done anymore.
Yeah, I guess that touches a little bit on the manual analog feel of the show as opposed to digital, and that's definitely came from a preference I had. I don't know whether that speaks of my age or generation of, having grown up pre-internet, but something about the physical maker felt important to me. And so I think that's partly with some of the nostalgia you speak about, because we opened up the show to collections as well. By the nature of collections, people have often been collecting them for a long time. And so you get kind of nostalgia and recognizable things. There's craft that sometimes it's a surprise that so many people are still doing it now, because they go back so far. And I think that's been part of the joy of that. And you're right, there are some crafts that are really on the red list of being endangered. For example, the paper quilling workshop downstairs, that's on that list. There's hardly anyone doing that anymore. And so this exhibition's also been really interested in bringing some of these rare things out. And so you're right, it does become a bit of a time mash. In a way, the film is partly does something to bring it to present day as well, in terms of the filming style or what the sound is and the music. So I don't know. Again, maybe it's a generational thing, but I find something comforting or anchoring in something that has been going on for a long time and that we're still doing now. With so much of like today being shifting and quick and it's gone, and that can leave you untethered or not knowing what to think or to do or to feel. Something that is a slow practice and that is crafted or collected or thought about or obsessed about. I find that quite calming. And I find that it's somehow both exciting and calming in the show. Okay. Any final ones? Okay. Well, thanks so much for hanging out with me. I'll be around for a little while. If you want to come and chat or come and say hi, please do. Otherwise, if you've not seen the show, please go see the show. There's some workshops around the gallery. We'll get the film back on. And yeah, thanks so much for coming. Appreciate that. Dave.